Ignorance breeds complacency. Tick tock, man to walk. Stephen Avery, he shall walk free. Again, where to start, I don't know.
So long ago, they set their sights on Avery.
He should have been out.
Oh, there ain't no doubt.
All those involved lacked integrity. Tick tock, man to walk. What kind of message you trying to send? Tick tock, man to walk. Truth always comes out in the end. Oh, like a curse, October 31st, so they say. That something went down, maybe planned, not well rehearsed still. They got 'em murdering the first with a story I can't believe. Tick tock, man to walk. It was all fabricated, don't you see?
All right, folks. All right, I'm back. Hello, everybody. Switch over to camera. Hello. Here I am. Sorry, just a little something I forgot that I had to get done before I started, and so I had to get it done. I know you guys are all waiting for me. Thank you very much. Sorry, I have my little technical difficulties there, but anyways. Hey, there's my muscle. My muscle showed up. Hell just froze over. My son announced he was putting his laundry in the room. Don't panic, Erekose. Oh, thanks. You know, I know what you mean. Seeing as I was even using the "Don't Panic" meme earlier today. Yeah, get her done. Hello, Raul. Roll. Let's see. Screw this, no shirt. Oh, hey man, this is my Rogue One shirt, man. Dude, see, I even got my little. Dude, I love this shirt. This shirt is awesome. I could have his hockey earlier. Just got home. Was that screensaver Susan's art? No, that was just a meme, and I'm not sure where the actual artwork came from. Exactly, but it was a meme created by somebody I know, real funny guy who creates a lot of memes, and he created that right around the time when Zellner filed her 1,200-page motion. He made that meme, and I thought it was just so hilarious. And it's funny because since then, that's what we've seen. We've seen like Colburn retired. Link was already kind of retired pretty much when MAM came out, but then we see in the recent year, or recent time, that Colburn has retired. Sheriff Herman is going to be stepping down, or he's not going to be seeking re-election as the Manitowoc County head sheriff, and we see Michael Griesbach moves out of being Manitowoc County DA and moves into being a defense lawyer now. I find that was kind of interesting. Right around the time when the whole CD was handed over, and that whole thing started happening between the state and Zellner with the CD. Yeah, so it's interesting stuff, but yeah, it's you basically see these people jumping ship like you see in that meme, which I think is funny. Will the elections help Stephen or Brendan? I think that there's a chance that the elections will, because I think that the two, Josh Call and Tony Evers, who were voted in, Tony Evers is the new governor, Josh Call is the new AG. I think they might have a bit of an inkling that Making a Murderer 2 and all the evidence that Zellner was showing may have been having an effect on the election. They may realize that Making a Murderer 2 is a serious, matter. And they may actually, try to prevent obstruction, and they may actually try to work with Zellner. They may actually institute a structure where they'll actually work with Zellner instead of working against her. So we'll have to see, but hopefully it will. There is the one thing that everybody should be aware of, though, is that his Josh Call, he is Peg L's son. Doesn't mean he's Peg L. Doesn't mean he's gonna be the same person as Peg L. But it's just worth noting. Oh, thanks, Greg. I love this shirt. I got it at Comic-Con when I got the caricature made. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's kind of blurry, but when I got the caricature made right there, I bought this shirt then. And then I bought another shirt that has Santa on it, and it says, "I'm in it for the cookies." See, were you turning in a CD you had forgotten for 9 years? For 12 years, you mean? Hello, everyone. Hi, Lindsay. Did you receive my mail? I have not received any mail as of yet. Oh, the email. I actually haven't checked XGrap. I checked it right after my live earlier, and saw a few things there. And replied, but I didn't see anything from you yet, Jerome. But after this live, I'll go back in and check it again and see what new emails I have. Shimmy Sham is out, and that's what matters. Yeah, I love that was what I called Brad Schimmel back in the days. You know, just the way he was opposing Brendan and stuff. I started to call him Brad Shimmy Sham Schimmel, and I started equating the dance Shimmy Sham almost like the Humpty dance, you know. But anyway, I think the election is not going to help. It may not matter. Millbilly Jeebs could be right. May not make any difference. I am hopeful that, you know, these politicians may realize that they have you know, Making a Murderer 2 to kind of thank for you know, helping them get over the hump and get into office there, because they both basically won by 1%. These were not huge landslide elections, so it's possible that they might just be aware that this is an issue that they might want to put on the front burner. Okay, let's see. Deleted. Okay, never mind. Hello, Kayomi. Erekose, you jumped my coincidence about Bobby. Okay, hold on. I'm going to start off by asking, how the F does Bobby Dassey end up living on Horse Road minutes from Xander Road fire? Spookish. Oh, really? Is that he was real close to that? That's interesting. I didn't know how close his you know, recent residence was to that. Okay, so sorry about that, Patrick. Okay, the outgoing was the first to not have made a pardon during his term. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, Scott Walker was very much not inclined to any kind of criminal justice reform. He thought that everything was fine the way it was. And that's why I didn't like him, because everything was not fine the way it was. Brad Schimmel I have issues with because of other reasons. Number one, Brendan. Opposing Brendan. You got to be an idiot to be opposing Brendan. You know, but beyond that, there's the Michael Bell case. And for those of you who don't know about the Michael Bell case, Michael Bell is a gentleman who his son was actually shot and killed by police officers in his own driveway. The kid was walking up the driveway to get to the house or whatever, and the cops had just pulled up out of nowhere for an unclear reason, and they pulled up out of nowhere and they just like started jumping on him. Kid tried to run towards the house. They jumped on him and everything, At one point, one of the officers, they had him up against a car, and one of the officers leaned against the side window and the side mirror, and the side mirror was touching his gun. So he screamed, that officer screamed, he's going for my gun, which was impossible because the kid was all tied up by like 2 other officers and couldn't have possibly been doing it. But anyways, that officer then claims, oh, he's going for my gun. So another officer shoots at him. They ended up telling lies about how it happened. The officers, they told lies about how it happened that ended up getting proven false. Then they told a new story about what happened that got proved false. And they kept trying to respin the story. Eventually, one of the officers, his conscience, because I think it was his conscience, because the state was causing him to continue to lie about this because they didn't want to take credit. They didn't want to, take, responsibility for it. And one of these cops then eventually ended up killing himself. Probably because his conscience was bothering him. And he didn't like having to continue to try to lie about it instead of just owning up to it. But maybe I'm wrong. Who knows why that officer committed suicide. But what came from all of this is Michael Bell eventually got a settlement because of what happened to his son. And he ended up using a great deal of that money to put towards getting legislation passed in the Wisconsin Senate, and he succeeded. And what that legislation was that anytime officers are in a situation where they have used their weapons and somebody has been wounded or killed, that they can no longer investigate it themselves. There has to be an independent investigation from a different agency altogether that has to come in and investigate it now. And that was a great victory, huge victory, right? But here's the thing. It didn't go backwards. And Michael Bell continued to appeal and petition to Brad Schimmel saying, please, now that this legislation's here, please make it retroactive and please have an investigation into my son's death and figure out why this happened. What caused this to happen? Why were these officers doing what they were doing and everything? Brad Schimmel shined him on. Just continued to shine the guy on. And that's why I don't like Brad. That's the couple of the reasons why I don't like Brad Schimmel, and I think we're better off without him. So, and if Josh Call is not any better, then I hope the Wisconsinites will vote him out in 2 years. So, anyway. Hi, Richard. It's only been 3 of us around my mobile at work tonight. Oh, only 3, huh? Oh, man, it's cool when there's like 11 or 12 or 15 of you. But, no, hey, 3's cool. 3's good. Let's see here if I missed anything big here. Hey, I don't think the governor-elect is fully aware of the case and call... it will make a difference. I don't know what they know or what they're aware of at this point, but like I said, I think the fact that Making a Murderer 2 is going to be a lot to they're going to have that to thank, and I think they're eventually going to be made aware of that fact. They voted the idiots out. Whatever happened to Reasonable Doubt? Yeah, agreed. That was one of the things they were talking about in the Texas Tech Talk that kind of stuck out to me. The one I uploaded earlier, the Q&A. One of those people were stating that in our criminal justice system, it somehow has wrongly, really, because it's not the way the premise of our system works, but somehow it has become the burden of the defense to somehow explain what happened if it wasn't their client, right? They are somehow left with the burden of having to explain who and how it happened in order to be found innocent, essentially, which goes completely against the grain of our system, because it's up to the prosecution to prove that the defendant committed the crime, and it's not up to the defendant to prove anything, really, other than ultimately his own innocence. But he doesn't have to prove who did it, actually. He doesn't have to prove how. He doesn't have to. It's not his job to do DNA testing and investigation. That's the state's job. So, I mean, and the way they were talking about it, that burden, somehow wrongly, that burden has now fallen to the defense to have to do that in order to be found innocent now is really kind of it's showing our justice system is getting away from the principles that it's built on. Corruption is there saying, could a governor's pardon be a way out in order to prevent? From what I've heard, Stephen won't accept a governor's pardon. He wants to be proven innocent or bust. That's what he wants. He's that stubborn, and he was this way the last time, and just wait for it. Zellner's going to eventually get this thing knocked out. It may not happen overnight, but she's going to eventually get it knocked out. Like I said, all the rats are jumping ship, just like the meme I was showing you here. Look, this one. The rats are jumping ship. They're getting out of Dodge, all except for Wiegert. Wiegert's stepping up to the podium. He's stepping right up, but yeah, this is what's happening, that's, so anyway. Let's see, they hunt in the area, know the area. That's a fair point. Sad that the coroner retired after how she was treated. Let's see, there's only 3 of us around the let's see what happened here. Patrick, we all drink here, and Scott lives where the Rav was allegedly seen pull over. What does shine the guy out mean? Shine the guy out. I'm not sure what that means. Bobby and Scott are hiding something for sure. They certainly. I'm convinced that at the very least they were bullied. They were bullied by the state and the prosecution and agents of the state to tell a very specific story in court. And there's reasons why I believe that. Amongst those reasons, and probably the biggest, is the fact that Brian has been very consistent ever since day one that originally Bobby was saying that Teresa had left, that he saw her leave. And then that somehow changed. And with Scott has the problem of the fact that his account of the fire changed every time he told the story. So it started out around a fire that the flames were going up about 3 or 4 feet. Then the next time he tells that he's asked or whatever about it by investigators or whatever, this fire is now suddenly 6 or 7 feet. The flames are reaching up to around 6 or 7 feet high until he's in court, and now the flames are reaching as high as the roof of that garage. Right? So that's the problem with Scott, because he creates a problem with his stories, and I feel he was bullied into saying what he was, at the very least, he was bullied into saying what he said by the state. Because think about Josh Redant. Okay, you saw it in the actual MAM too. When Zellner talks to Josh Redant, he talks about how he felt like the state was trying to make him say that this fire was a big, huge fire, and he makes the flippant remark at one point where he just goes, "Look, guys, tell me how big you want me to say the fire is." He's saying that for effect because that's the way they were making him feel. The investigators from the DOJ and stuff. That's significant. So if we see that the investigators were making Josh Redant feel that way, then I can honestly easily see where they might have been making Scott Taddock feel that way. So there's a lot of ifs and stuff right now that need to get shaken out. That's why an evidentiary hearing is needed. It's been needed ever since the 1,200-page motion, but Judge Sukowitz, who it appears has ties with Kratz under that Victim Rights Crime Board thing, and with the case that the Hallbox were going to bring to try and take Stephen's money before his trial, so he wouldn't even have had the money to pay Dean and Jerry. There was that whole thing, and she, even though everybody decided to drop that, the judge, was deciding not to drop it and held on to it for months before finally signing it, and everything. And really strange things with Judge Sukowitz. So we should have been having this evidentiary hearing so that all these things could get argued about and shaken out, but it's not happening yet. So that's what we're hoping with the December 20th filing with Zellner and the subsequent response of the state that will follow that, and then the reply of Zellner to the state after that, and then eventually there will be either oral arguments that will be called for, or the judges will make a decision, and hopefully there will be an evidentiary hearing ordered so that all this stuff can be sorted through, argued about. The state can bring in their experts to try to refute Zellner's top experts, and so that it can be known what is what here, and what is real and what is not, what is shaky, what is strong, what is relevant, that sort of stuff. And that's what's needed, and hopefully that's coming. It should be coming. 52 people watching and only 5 likes. Hit the like button. Oh, yay. Hit the like button, everybody. Let's see. So much on Bobby and Scott. How the hell did Hillegas get a hold of her day planner from the day that she disappeared? Injected himself into the coordinating research and absolutely moved into her place. All that stuff makes him very suspect. This is why I say Ryan Hillegas is a very suspicious fellow. That was the name of my first video about Ryan Hillegas, and it was right on the mark. He's very suspicious. Let's see. I feel the same. Saul stinks. Also, the body language is very telling. Very nervous energy, plus the phone call between Barb and Steven and the vicious angriness in that prison call, absolutely. Barb and them were put up at Fox Hills, and Barb says that they were told if they left that she would be arrested. I have also heard that. Yes, but what about the Averys? We need a different state to do a new trial. You mean? Yeah, possibly, but that's not the way it'll work. There was another woman killed at 3302 Xander Road 2. I believe there was. I think I do remember hearing reports that there was a woman killed there previously. Did he freeze, or is it my equipment? I don't think I'm frozen. I can still see my live stream, and it seems to be working. I don't know what to say yes to the Averys. I just know of Barb and Beatty, etc. Well, I think Ryan had something to do with it and all. He's been on my number one my number one favorite target, right? And like I said, he's never left my radar. That dude is totally dodgy, suspicious. Everything about him screams, look at me. I am very fishy. You should be looking at me, because things that I do and say just make very little sense and make me look very suspect. Hi, Anne from New Zealand. This case reminds me of the UK's version of the missing Madeleine McCann, both pure and BS, and in the population's mind, a pure whodunit that thousands have different opinions. Yeah, well, that may be where we're headed, but Zellner's got a pretty much a singularity of purpose, I think, that will cut through that. Do you think KK might have promised all of his lying key witnesses they would never be charged with perjury in case things go wrong? He may have made that promise. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Ken made that kind of promise to him, even though he knew he probably couldn't keep it. Let's see. Didn't Bobby lie under oath about seeing Steven walk back into his trailer? Well, we think that Bobby's testimony is false. I certainly believe large portions of Bobby's testimony are false. So I guess the answer to that question for me would be a yeah. I mean, that's one of my biggest beefs with Bobby, is that his testimony in court is clearly false, and he's standing by it. And so that's, where we're at. FYI, Carly Chase just told me Bobby and his wife are not separated and he is not missing. Okay. I figure he probably wasn't. I figure the family probably knows where he's at, and they probably are communicating with him, but he is probably not interacting a whole lot on social media. He's probably got a much smaller digital footprint right now. And he's probably just trying to keep his head down and keep his nose clean. He's, I imagine this is a very unpleasant experience for him, and some people would think he deserves it. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, or he at least deserves what all prisoners deserve, and what we complain that Steven didn't get, and he didn't get that benefit of reasonable doubt. He was basically convicted in the media immediately and thrown in jail, and not even, so I think with Bobby and Scott, they're entitled to their day in court, as it were. really don't want to be. I really don't want it to be more family, but I do think the family helped cops because of the stuff they had on them. I mean, it's just to me that Bobby and Scott look clearly manipulated. To me, they look very clearly manipulated. So the question is, why are they manipulated? Why do they appear that way? If Catherine bets her life and Steven's innocent, he's innocent. I kind of trust her gut feelings as well, and her gut feeling is mine. I mean, I didn't immediately think I didn't immediately jump on thinking Steven was innocent. I've spent a long time on the fence about Steven, but after months of going through the documents and seeing thing after thing after thing that showed me Kratz was a liar, showed me Fassbender was a liar, showed me that I couldn't really trust any of the agents of the state because they were all dishonest, or at least they were just so willing to back their brothers of the badge that they didn't even question whether or not this evidence was, legitimate or not. And so it made me just so disillusioned with everything that I eventually went, you know what? Yeah, the probabilities are that Steven's innocent and he was set up. That's the probabilities. The probabilities say that that's what's gone on here. And eventually I did get to that point. But I do still have that small little window in my head where I can conceivably, think of a scenario or scenarios where it might have been Steven. I just don't think it's likely. I just think it's highly improbable at this point that it would have been Steven. Let's see. Trust Carla as far as you can throw her. That's my motto. Okay, Marissa. Okay, I'm a diplomat. I'm good with everybody. I'm kind to everybody. Not to say I can't be a dick at times, but for the most part, I'm a pretty understanding kind of guy, because for me, it's about making sure that everybody supports Brendan and Steven, and less about the personalities. So. I tend to let a lot of stuff roll right off my back, because for me, the whole reason I'm here is that a cause is why I started doing this, and that cause is important to me, and it's important for me to try to create goodwill among supporters and between different groups of people. Just because ultimately, even if everybody doesn't agree, I at least would like to think that we all know that it's necessary to work together, and the fact that we all believe roughly the same thing. We just all have sometimes all have a little bit different ideas about the details. So yeah, that's I just try to be as non-volatile as possible and try to be diplomatic. Is Ryan and Colburn related? I don't think so. See, that is where you and I disagree. We need to do a show together and debate these things. Well, which thing are we disagreeing about? Purple. What are we disagreeing about right there? What exactly are you talking about? There are a number of people who could have done this, but the one thing most here can agree on is that it was not SARBD. Right. And essentially, yeah, we can mostly agree on certain things, whether or not we have slight disagreements on certain details. And I know sometimes people start fighting bitterly about those things. And I just try to be here to hopefully smooth some of those things over and try to create more community amongst the supporters of Steven and Brendan. Because I know everybody gets very, passionate about their opinions. And I understand that and I applaud that. And I encourage that. But I also encourage that we work together when necessary, and that we don't look like a bunch of, infighting, type of people, right? So, OMG, he's cursed. He cursed Marissa. This is a historical moment. Blood in the trailer. No blood in the trailer. Case dismissed. I think you're right, Oscar. He cursed in an earlier video too. Yeah, you guys love to point out when I let one slip, don't you? Erekose, it would be a great view. Colburn has been involved in many suspicious activity. Oh, I get along with Carla and we are followers of each other, etc. on YouTube, but when it comes to a family member saying something about the status of another family member, I don't trust it. Maybe so. That tons of people are involved. You think tons of people are involved? No. I don't think tons of people are involved. I think a small handful of people were really in the know, and that most everybody else was just like I've said before. Mark Oddie puts it very well. He says with cops, all compasses point north, and that means that they all think similarly, and they all just fall right into line with each other when a decision is made, and that's the way they operate. So it's like all compasses point north. So they weren't questioning any of the evidence. The few officers that were involved, I don't know if this is what you were talking about or not, but I don't believe a large amount of officers were in the know or deputies were in the know. I believe a very small amount were in the know, and that the rest were just following along with it without questioning. Let's see. Why would Colburn visit the Avery property before this happened? He was actually friends with Earl, strangely enough. He was going to the yard and getting parts for a car he was restoring or whatever. He had been talking with Earl and stuff a lot. And yeah, he was actually going there to get parts and stuff. So, Erekose, I would like to create a French YouTube channel to relate all your work in French. Do you want to do something together? If you wanted to, Jerome, absolutely, buddy. I'll be happy to do like a Skype call with you on your channel. We could both upload it to our channels if you wanted. Hopefully the French audience will be able to understand me speaking English. I know in the European countries that you guys do tend to learn a lot, several foreign languages, like when you guys are in elementary school. So I know there's a good chance that people will be able to understand. But yeah, if you're willing, Jerome, I am certainly. Do you not find it odd that when Pam called the RAV4, she read off the VIN number? She said, "This number sounds familiar." Maybe because somebody had showed it to her, but she didn't actually have the VIN number in front of her. So she was actually trying. If you remember, she was trying to get Uyghur to tell her, "Is this the car? Is this the car?" Because she didn't. If she had a copy of the VIN number she had been told and was certain that it matched, she might have known herself. But I think maybe she's referring to somebody had said it's a VIN number of blah, 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 but VIN numbers are like this long, right? They're like huge freaking numbers, right? So anyway. When Colburn found out about her appointments, he only went to the Averys. Absolutely, he absolutely focused. Ellie killed Teresa. There's no way the frame up could have started without their start off. You missed it. I am yelling at my TV, but you can't hear. I believe for everything to make sense, it had to be another family member that committed the crime. Well, in terms of the blood, but as I said, I have another theory about the blood that gives me a little bit of an opening to a little bit wider kind of possibility, I guess I should say. Manitowoc contacted Calumet County. Then we agree. Okay, we agree. Yeah, I think it's a handful, but I just think everybody else, like Mark Oddie says, all compasses point north when you got law enforcement officers. And so they were just kind of following along with it without asking any questions. Don't make any waves. Just follow the boss's orders, right? No waves. Easy peasy. Don't try to be a hero or anything or a whistleblower, basically. So you're jelly. Perhaps you could submit titles en français for the videos he already has. Just an idea, possibly. I could even send you a couple of my videos if you wanted. Yeah, I know. I figured you were talking about the French channel. And a belated thank you to the redheads. Missed that one. To the redheads. She was very suspicious on the stand. Body language was telling, overreacting, like a scared child. Bring me one, Patrick. I'm rolling the doob. All right, you guys are getting crazy up in this mug. I'm thinking about getting wine. Pajama party tonight. That's what I believe everybody's planning, or a lot of people are planning to attend your little thing. That's why I went so early here tonight, so that I wouldn't be interfering with your little pajama party you were talking about last night. So, or on my live this morning, you were talking about it. So, it seemed like everybody was pretty excited about that. So, was trying to give everybody, a lot of content today to think about and talk about, and a place to go for people to talk about with other like-minded people about this. And, that's what it's all about. Try to give that as much as I can. And so I was also trying to get in before you do, so that you can do your thing. And everybody can have a little, fun talking about the case and doing all that sort of stuff. Making tankards. I'm on the gin. Dude, look what I got today. Because the studio needs alcohol. Jose Cuervo tequila, made with blue agave. So that's pretty special. Especial. And then with the holiday season, a little bit of eggnog. So when Laura's live, I can drink, but when I'm live, it's Dr. Pepper. I will. When Laura's live, I will be drinking. I'll be drinking with you guys. I will. I like eggnog too. I love milk. I love eggnog. Oh my God. Like whenever I eat chocolate, I have milk. Fill a tumbler with the beer. Yes, Laura, sounds good. Don't forget the wine. Are you guys coming tonight? I think most of these people are going to show up there, Laura. Roll, I think I saw somewhere is not Stevens writing, possibly Kratz. And soon some Belgian beer. Right on. Actually, I have Belgian beer now, too. Well, maybe not Belgian. No, it's Holland. Sorry. I got the Heinies. Except Patrick. I don't remember Xander Road being wrote anywhere. Oh, well, if you look at my Xander Road Part 1 video, if you can search on my channel for it. Look for Xander Road Part 1. Sorry. Sorry. What's going on at Xander Road Part 1? Did they have a handwriting analyst look at it? I mean, it's weird. It does look kind of like Stevens' writing, but it's actually more legible than Stevens' writing usually is and stuff. It's weird, but I don't know. It's really odd. It was written on a for sale sign with Teresa's number, and the thing is that where they pulled that sign out from, you could see the edge and there was no writing, and it's really an odd thing. Erekose explains it all on my level. Drunk or sober, his videos hit the stake. Let's see. But there's a video of the cops in his house. There is, yes. That's when you hear Wendy. Infamous, Wicked Wendy Baldwin. and you hear her. She's the one behind the camera, and she opens up that closet, and there's like the shoes sitting on the floor of the closet, right? He goes, "Oh, we could probably take those back to the station and make molds, and probably sell half of the petty thefts in Manitowoc." You know, she makes that comment as she's filming. I mean, showing clear prejudice, obvious clear prejudice, and you know, so yeah, that's Wendy Baldwin. Planted. Hi, Mr. Erekose. I've been following your MAN videos for a couple years. Good job on all the hard work you do. Thanks. Hey, thank you, J-Man. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm here mainly trying to give people that place to talk about the case and to hopefully learn from some of the things that me and my friends have been learning for the last 3 years. You know, I mean, and to create the community for people who where they get excited to come and talk about it. I mean, it's one thing to create a community, but when, I mean, everybody is getting so excited about coming here to talk about the case and stuff like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love it. And I just want to encourage it in every way I can. And it's just great. And then by having other YouTubers that can go live and create that community for everybody, at times when I can't, I mean, that's great too. That's awesome. It gives everybody that place to go and have that community to talk about it in a community of other people that are excited to talk about it as much as they are, and so that's great. I hate how they edited their video too. Is it that possible that Teresa murder was a ritual crime for Halloween? I mean, a lot of people have theorized that, Jerome. It's just because of its timing and Wisconsin being kind of the really kind of bizarre, you know, things like Dave Bagaka talks about and stuff going on there. I mean, it's hard to count it out. And she also sees the letter from the Innocence Project and says he won't be going to this. Yeah, she absolutely does that as well. She's I mean, on a video showing clear bias, clear unfettered bias. I know the cops have to be in on it or it doesn't work. I doubt the cops help Scott. I think they made him tell a story they wanted him to tell. But so, Eric, are you 99% sure he's innocent? 99.9% sure he's innocent? I don't know. I'm not trying to translate it into a percentage. I'm just saying that in my rough considerations, the probabilities are that he was probably framed. That's just, I'm not putting percentages, and 99.9% is pretty much 100%. I don't know. There's a small window, probably a little bit bigger than 0.1, but I'm not here trying to I'm not here trying to define it. I'm just saying, speaking in a rough fashion, speaking, you know, estimatively, that in my estimation the probabilities are that he was framed. Bobby hunted at the quarry. He knew the area. Oh, forgot to say, the only thing that moved on Colburn's cabinet was the remote. They got the cop to view it if there was any porn on Stephen's TV to give them time to plant the key. That's very well could be. Erekose and Laura would make a cute couple, just saying. That's funny. Wow, she thought he was literally running around breaking into homes, and more than likely they could pin them on him, as well as Stephen is not liking that to be doing something like that. I don't think Stephen was going and breaking into people's homes and committing a bunch of petty theft like that. I think she was being ridiculous, personally. I've also been here for a while. You've become a lot more comfortable on camera. Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate you. Oh, thank you so much, Quadrex. And Baldwin is Manitowoc's poster girl for professional police work. Yeah, there you go. Says it all, right? At this point, knowing how much the corruption there is, even if BD and SA are cold-blooded murderers, the real evidence was destroyed so they could never be found guilty. And have their constitutional rights. Yeah, I mean, this case was made into a total wreck. But I think Zollner's got the tools to sort it out. I have a Frozen video, but getting all the typing. I don't know why. My live feed shows me it's good. I think Xander Road is going to prove more important than we think. Fixed, thanks, Marissa. Okay, there you go. Framed, yes. Face body reading on YouTube. Search for it, Erekose. I placed a link. I think I've seen one or two of the videos you're talking about, Patrick, but you placed a link. You can also send Patrick. You can also send me an email. I don't know if you knew that, but in the video, in the information below the video here, there is an email address. You can send things to me if you like. If it was 5% instead of 99%, there was still reasonable doubt. I know. Yeah, basically, yeah. Whatever definition I put on my window of doubt or my window of lack of doubt. It's the point is that in just kind of rough terms, for me the evidence outweighs. The evidence weighs up in a way that I feel that Stephen was most likely framed. It just is the way it looks. My gut tells me that's the way it looks. I don't know how to put it any other way. My gut isn't evidence. My gut isn't proof. But there's a lot of it's pretty much undeniable about the key. Even Ken Kratz, acquiesces to it pretty much in his own closing argument. So there's issues here, and I believe there's just too many for it to be innocent. For sure. Feed's good. Okay. Stephen and Brendan are like Lee A. Oswald. I'm 100% sure Kratz is a smug ass hat. Yeah. Does Ryan have any connections with the cops, or was he trying to join? I don't think so. He's a nurse, and he was getting into the medical field and stuff like that. Feed's good. Make it 150.99%. Okay, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. All right. Steven's story has never changed, never from day one. I agree. His story has always remained consistent. The only time that it's supposedly changed is when whatever Steven was supposedly saying was coming through a second party, when it was hearsay. That's the only time Steven's story supposedly changes. When we see Steven tell his story, it never changes. Do you correspond with Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey through letters? No, I don't. But a friend of mine does. And so I have kind of, he's passed messages back and forth between Brendan and I kind of, and also one of Brendan's biggest supporters out there also has told Brendan about me and how strongly I support him. And so, yeah, Brendan did mention me in a letter to my friend who writes him. And so I have kind of, given a few one-liner or two-liners to be sent over to Brendan, and Brendan has, asked them to say something to me and stuff like that. But I've never done it myself. It's, with work and doing all this stuff, I just never managed to get around to it. But because my friend corresponds with them, a couple of my friends, I am able to, like I said, get, say a few things here and there. So this is a new one I never saw before today about the body language. It was really good info. Oh, okay. Yeah, just somebody email it over to me, and I'll kind of put it up in a side window while we're on Laura's live, and I'll check it out. There is reasonable doubt. Certainly, this man was railroaded. It's not funny. I agree. Burn barrels must have been used, in my opinion. That's what Zellner has also is part of her theory as well. Just a fun question. If Ryan was your nurse, would you ask for a different one? I would say, is it day or night? And if you couldn't tell me, I'd say, give me a new nurse. Erekose said in previous videos he doesn't correspond with SA or BD. Not directly. Yes, I would. Who are the characters on your T-shirt, buddy? These are from Rogue One, so it's like the four main characters from the Star Wars movie Rogue One, whose names are all escaping me right now because it's been about 6 months since I watched it. But it's all the main characters from Star Wars Rogue One. Yes, Marissa. I was shocked to see that right after they arrested S.A., Ellie made public that they were looking for videos of torture and other stuff like that. If they were looking for that stuff, how'd they miss it on the Dassey computer? That's weird. On S.A.'s PC, nothing was found, of course. No. You missed my Kratz joke. Okay, hold on. Tom F. I'm 100% sure Kratz is... Oh, right. 100% is low. Make it 150.99. Okay, got it, Tom. Funny buddy. Yeah, that is very, very good to hear. I'm not sure the sheriffs thought they were framing an innocent man. I think they thought S.A. done it, and they helped it along, not knowing he was innocent. They used BD as another part of making sure. They were realizing their case was weak against Stephen, and they were looking for other ways to reinforce the conviction, and that's what led them to Brendan. But it's despicable what they did with Brendan. It's absolutely despicable what they did with Brendan. Botched investigation, absolutely. They should have moved their butts out of Manitowoc as soon as... Yeah, I agree. They should have moved out of the area. I think the cops thought this would be dead and buried in a good few years, like that case. They didn't expect... Exactly. They didn't count on the filmmakers and the success of MAN. They certainly didn't know in 2005 that Netflix was going to be coming with streaming service and things like that. So, I mean, they were used to the way that things used to be. And this is a changing world. And yeah, it's not quite the same way anymore. I have a question about this story and hope someone can clarify. In one of the first interviews while he's up in Crivets, he doesn't mention a fire. Did he ever say he burned on 10/31 or not? Eventually he acquiesces to having a fire or something like that. Yeah. I think he didn't say... I think that not saying it at first was just because nobody was asking about it yet. It wasn't until a few days into the investigation that suddenly law enforcement was coming around and asking people about a fire. Was there a fire? Was there a fire? Oh, then fire. It was like, so, I think Stephen never mentioned having a fire at first because there was just nobody asking about it. There was no interest in a fire until like 2 days or 3 days later in the investigation, or after they found, 2 or 3 days after they found the RAV or whatever it was. It was like that. It was like that. So it wasn't immediately something that they were asking about. But then they started asking about it, and that's when, oh yeah, there was a fire. Stephen never points somebody when he asked about Teresa. Stupid thing jumps, man. Jeez. Teresa missing, but a killer points somebody else. Yes, Sean Atwood seems to be quiet lately. I'm going to be doing a call with Sean Atwood soon. Him and I are going to get together and talk about the case on a call, so you guys can look forward to that. There you go. No, I think they knew they were framing a man. Is Sean Atwood planning on delivering a part 2 of Unmaking a Murderer? I don't know. You can ask him that when him and I talk. It was despicable. They did not care. They felt like it was them or him. Cops were malicious. Brendan said in MAM2 that he just wanted out and to get out of the state if he is allowed out of the state. I was just like, yes, Brendan, come to Canada. I doubt he's going to be able to leave the country. Oh, that's funny. Probably planted the porn on the computer just to get some leverage with BNS, keeping in line with the narrative. Possibly. There doesn't need to be reasonable doubt. There was a testimony. Okay. Yes, they never realized that a huge network would be putting them on a microscope. Absolutely. Oscar, I wonder the same thing as well. I think that if the cops had known how this would become a worldwide viral thing, they wouldn't have dared to do all this. Absolutely. They are really, they are really filling their pampers, as I put it right now. Yeah, they certainly are. They're filling their pampers, and they're scared. Brings me back to Ryan. Bones are Carmen's. Teresa's body was not found yet. I know a lot of people believe that. Funny how Scott knew all about the fire. One thing that has left me feeling SA is innocent is the fact that in every single case he was accused of and had done, he admitted it. When innocent, he did not. Absolutely, that's always been something that stuck with me about Stephen as well. The state of Wisconsin is perpetually victimizing the Halbach family with their circus justice. Absolutely, they will be enraged when they realize that they were chumps and chumped by the people and duped by the people they trusted. Absolutely. For all we know, they got the bones from the local KFC. Well, I don't know about that, but good point, Marissa. He owns up when he's done wrong. Absolutely. Kentucky Kim, total framed, small town, can't afford the stuff that Stephen was unleashing on them. That's very likely. What exactly needs to happen for KZ to get SA out of prison? Please explain the process. Okay, so she has to get her evidence. Okay, so she's going to the Court of Appeals right now. So the quickest way of this could happen is she files on the 20th, right? The state responds to that within the allotted amount of time, which they could even ask for an extension, and it could be even longer before they respond. Then once the state responds, Zellner has a certain amount of time to reply. Then, if, like I said, once she replies, then all the information goes with the court judges, the appeal judges. They decide if they want to hear oral arguments, or they decide right from the written briefs, basically, right? So then they make a decision. What we want to happen is an evidentiary hearing is granted or demanded, or whatever it is. Basically just the appeals court just goes, okay, we're instituting an evidentiary hearing on this, go back to this court, and then the judge has no choice but to do an evidentiary hearing, I think this is how it works, but no matter what, we got to get to the evidentiary hearing. Once you get to the evidentiary hearing, that's when Zellner gets to come into court with her experts, and she gets to sit there and say, this is what we find. This is what doesn't match it with the prosecution's theory. Then the prosecution gets to cross-examine and do their thing, and they also get to offer their own experts to try to refute Zellner's experts, and all of this gets argued out, and we get to really find out what's what, and then eventually the judge makes the decision of whether or not the CD and the computer evidence and all those things, and whether or not that is a Brady violation. If it is deemed to be a Brady violation by the court, then it will institute in Stephen getting a new trial. That's where it's at. That's what the goal is. The best case scenario, in my opinion, is Stephen gets a new trial. I doubt that Zellner is going to walk him right out of the prison. Well, she will walk him out of the prison, but it will be possibly walk him out of the prison, but it will be with him coming back for a later court date. Because I can't imagine that the state of Wisconsin will ever just let Stephen Avery go. They're going to fight tooth and nail, in my opinion. Let's see. Do you think Casey will wait until the deadline to file, or file earlier? She may file it a few days early, but I think she might take all the time since she's got it, just to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed and all the periods and the commas are in there where they need to be, type of thing. That the case law that needed to be cited is all in there. They will probably take very close up until the deadline to just make sure that they've gone all that extra mile to make sure everything's there, that it's perfectly tight, and is getting their message across. So I wouldn't anticipate it too much earlier than the 20th, because they're going to want to make sure it's absolutely perfect. Ryan and Mike Halbach have always pressed my suspicious button. Absolutely. Roll. From the very first time I watched MAM, I wondered about Mike. Yeah, absolutely. They did mitochondrial DNA on the bones and found a partial match. However, that could also be matched to Carmen Boutwell. Don't get strange. Let's see. Since the call with Stevie and Scott and Barb, have they talked again? Have they been talking again, or have they stopped communicating as Zellner is accusing Scott? Probably not a whole lot of communication at the moment. I wonder if there's any link between Carmen and Mike and Scott. I'm not sure. Steve has never refused any type of testing. Usually guilty people use excuses as to why they can't do it. Right. Absolutely. Steve is fearless in his willingness to prove himself innocent. Should I get a Ukrainian mail order bride? Make sure nothing new comes up. Who makes the money from the show on Netflix? I believe the filmmakers. I believe it's split up percentages. I believe, but I think the filmmakers, Netflix itself, and then I think the people who have the rights to all the trial footage and stuff, I think get a fairly decent percentage. One of the saddest things is when Stevie and Brendan are finally walked out of the jail. Stevie's parents probably will be gone. Yeah, hopefully not, though. Damn it. I wonder if there's any link between Carmen and Mike and Scott. Steven has been refused the type of testing. Usually guilty people... Yeah, wait, hold on. Who makes money from the show on Netflix? New trial. And just wait until he unleashes the wrath from this. The Averys will be rich. One of the saddest things is when Stevie and Brendan are finally walked out of the jail. Steve's parents probably, yeah. She found something, I know, and they are all screwed. Yeah. Let's see where to go. Have any of the jurors come forward to talk about deliberations or anything? I know that some of them have talked. One of them was actually at the rally, and he's a very, very cool guy. I got to talk to him, but the whole thing is that the jurors, the important thing about the jurors is they sent a message. When they found Stephen not guilty of mutilating a corpse, they were sending a message. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces are cold, especially when you're alone. 18 years and now is in his 13th year on another framing. Oh my God. I know you don't know what Nyrider is up to, but what are her next foreseeable steps? Well, they got to find some new aspect of the case that they can now come at and attack. One of the issues with Brendan's case is that there's so little evidence in the case to begin with. But I imagine they're going to just find some new aspect. It might come from something that Zellner finds, and we'll have to see what happens at that point. Your Beatles art in the background. Do you know Paul is dead? Yeah. I have heard that they were all doing drugs for fun and some going overboard a little. I know this opens door for other things to happen when you are young experimenting. Who's to say, Mike and Ryan? Yeah, I mean, drugs do have an ability to do that. Wanted to talk to her about her actions lately, and something bad happened. Brendan is already out of jail. No, he's not. Looked her in the book. It starts, or could have, there. 10 years of nothing, or 10 years for nothing. Erekose, do you have news on Avery parents? They are well. They seem actually very well. I know Dolores actually recently had knee replacement surgery, so that she would be better able to go do the steps when she goes to visit Steven because there's steps there. So she actually recently had knee replacement and she's recovering from that. The Averys are tough. They're tough, folks. And you saw, I mean, did you guys see Alan in the documentary? Where, I mean, I bet Alan doesn't spend a whole lot of time working out in the shop, but he got in there. He was tearing something apart. He picked up that pretty heavy piece of metal and he chucked it into a bin. And he was, you know, he's not a spring chicken anymore, but he's still got some lead left in the pencil there. You know what I mean? He's still somewhat, active and able to, do those sort of things. So I found that to be particularly cool. So for Brendan, then it will be a completely brand new appeal starting from ground zero. Well, yeah, they can't. There's not much they can do. The habeas, petition ran its course, ultimately fizzling out at the en banc. Well, fizzling out with his writ of certiorari for the Supreme Court being denied. But lots of people are watching. Lots of people are interested, and Laura and Stephen Drizzen will find something else with Brendan's case that they can attack, and with the continued pressure because of the interest in this case, it's likely that we're going to get a different outcome, I think. Brendan is still in prison. Yes, he is. Why am I lost? I don't know. Brendan's in prison. What do you think? What do you think about KZ taking subtle shots at Brendan's attorneys in MAM2? KZ's a lawyer, so she's obviously entitled to her opinion of how another lawyer handled something. I think she was not. I mean, she was very, very subtle about it. Wasn't being, I think, in my mind, she wasn't coming down on top of them. But maybe she was showing just a little bit of disappointment that they were just so unwilling to tell those judges that the officers, the investigators, were trying to seal the deal against Stephen Avery, whether or not Brendan did it or not. That was their goal, and so. I thought he'd get out. When my grandpa was 85, he redid his wood siding, took it all off, sanded, refinishing it, and then took the shingles off of the roof of his garage and put new ones on. Alan reminds me of that. Yeah. Brendan's conviction was overturned twice, and then ultimately the overturning was overturned. Absolutely. The en banc overturned everything that had happened, and Brendan's back to square one. Are you still going to do a video with Fresh Start Monday? As I said, my answer to that is yes. What you need to do is you need to start asking him. Go on his channel and ask him. Okay? I'm telling you, all he has to do is get in contact with me, arrange for a day for us to do it, and it's done. That's literally all that's where my head's at. Ask him. Please, go ask him. Because I haven't heard back from him for probably about a week now. And I don't know why that is, but it doesn't matter to me why it is. If he wants to get in touch with me and he wants to do a call with me, then he will. So if you want to, go remind him. Oh, thank you so much. Quadrex. I don't have much, but there's a little for all the hours I've watched. I found Steven's willingness to go under the brain fingerprinting and his consistency when under pressure is very interesting. Cheers. I agree. I mean, Steve's consistency is very, very good. She pointed out faults and differences she do. I agree. She was kind of criticizing Laura, but yeah. Erekose, one thing that really bugs you is the anonymous Twitter caller to Teresa, or no, the anonymous caller, the person that was supposedly stalking her, according to Tom Pierce. Absolutely. Who do you suspect it was? Well, like I said, I either don't know who it was because it was not investigated, or it was Ryan. It could have been Ryan, and it would actually fit with all the weird stuff that we are finding out about Ryan. It would kind of also fit that it might have been Ryan who was this stalker. So But we don't know because it wasn't investigated. I thought he got out after 10 years, but not keeping up with him. Someone give Kentucky Kim their Netflix login password. She needs to watch the series. Erekose, do you think it's possible to buy the Steven trailer to help his parents? I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I'll put a question about that out. I will tell you this: they may not be wanting to because the trailer's kind of gotten into bad repair, and so they may not want the liability of selling it to somebody. But I'll tell you what. I'll ask the question, and we'll see what happens. The problem with Brendan's case that he now needs something like new evidence. Yeah, it's true. Sean, quit being disrespectful. I think KZ was disappointed that they didn't throw everything on the table and go big the way she was planning to. Just a different strategy. I think so too. Hasn't Brendan exhausted all of his appeals? There's just they have to find something new, a new way to attack it. But they'll trust me. They're smart. This is what they do. They're wrongful conviction attorneys. They'll have a little faith. When they're ready to come at it again, you got to imagine right now they're kind of licking their wounds a little bit. I mean, that was very close to success with Brendan. And you only have to read the opinion of the dissenting judges to know how very split the judges were on this case. The future holds new things for juveniles in the justice system. It's going to take a little time for it to catch on, but when I read the dissenting judges' decisions from the en banc review, there is a wind blowing, and it's catching on. Oh no. You have not a brain for that. For Kratz. Oh yeah, Kratz, right. Let's see, Ryan. Did his stalking and killing started a setup? I think you need a brain to be being fingerprinted. Could be wrong. Yeah, he did. I said. Only thing that would show up in the Kratz brain fingerprint is a hamburger. He'll guess we'll get the password in 3 tries, but he won't know whether it's day or night. Kentucky Kim and always getting free trial binge. Lots of people do that. I'm stalking Erekose's videos. They are that good. Well, thank you, Patrick. Buy Kentucky Kim. Smoke one for me, please. Is RH the number one person of interest in this case, in your opinion? I used to think it was BD and ST. Now I'm not sure. It's right now for me. Those 3 are the main people of interest. I mean, those 3 are. They are it for me. And with the addition of number 4 would be Michael Osmondson. I'm very suspect about him. I have a feeling we may find out he had more involvement in this before the end. Thank you very much, Sharon. You're so sweet. Dr. Pepper time, I know, right? Oh, was I getting a little hoarse there? Yeah. Oh man, I just emptied it. The en banc being split certainly means that there is reasonable doubt, even if it was not the majority. I thought that once your appeals failed through the process, well, that's what new evidence. With new evidence, you can always refile for post-conviction relief. That's what Zellner did when she had all of her experts testing things, and she's continuing to find things in her investigation, and she's continuing to come up with new things. When Steve and Laura decide or make their mind up to really go after, figure out what they want to do with Brendan, they'll do it. And they'll go out and they'll investigate and they'll find something and they'll petition the court again and they'll start something new. It may be something Zellner turns up in her investigations. How could they have arrested every gun charges? Was he a felon? Yes, because part of the 18 years he served, I think 8 years of that was actually rightfully served because of him pointing that gun at his cousin. So 8 years of it was justified. The last 10 wasn't. Love Dr. Pepper. We all pick on each other a bit in here. Sorry if we hurt you all at all. Stick around and learn. Yeah, please stick around, Kim. Kentucky Kim. Yeah, everybody here gets a little bit carried away sometimes having fun. Don't take it too personal. Please. Stick around. Let's see. Love Dr. Pepper. Okay. Mr. Erekose, don't you think that it is interesting that Len Kaczynski was rewarded with a judge position soon after this case? Yes, absolutely. Have always thought that was complete BS and absolutely unacceptable. Funny how one of the closest people to her on the property where all the key information was obtained, right? Stephen has had a felony for pulling a weapon on his cousin, and that's, like I said, yes. So that part, he wasn't supposed to have a weapon after that, even though he was found innocent of the rape of Penny Burnson. Scott Taddock trying to sell the 22. That was also very fishy. Right after the murder. Agreed, Marissa. We all share knowledge, and no one knows everything, right? So why do convicts not keep ailing? Why do some stop? Yes, but not all convicts have the best lawyers in the country who are able to go out there and pay for the investigators and go out and dig up the evidence and dig up things. And like I said, Zellner's already digging this stuff up. They may be able to look at something Zellner's already gotten and that can help them come up with that they can use as new evidence. Trust me, they're the best. They're the best. They're going to find something. They're going to find whatever they need when they need to. That's what they're going to do. You don't get to be the best by sucking, right? You get to be the best because this is what you do. You own it. You make it what you do. You own it. You do it better than anybody else, or at least you try to. And like I said, there's very little doubt that Stephen Drizzen and the wrongful convictions of Youth Center over there at Northwestern, and Northwestern itself, is one of the tops when it comes to fighting for the rights of juveniles and righting wrongful convictions of youth and all that sort of stuff. So there is really no doubt that they are among the top. Just have faith in them. They'll get there. Yeah, I thought that too. You have submitted any theories on Reddit, buddy? That was John P. Didn't the 22 in Steven's trailer. You guys are starting to go pretty fast. Not belong to his landlord. It did belong to his landlord. Wasn't actually Steven's gun. They've already found out a lot. What do you think about the state is trying to hide with the broken taillight? They're trying to hide that somebody brought that RAV4 in through the back way. I must have missed it. If they ever said anything about him in a cast, they did mention Hillegas had scratches. Yes, Hillegas, I have pictures of him and the scratches on his hand. And I have another picture of where he looks like he has bruising on this part of his hand, like right here, basically on this side of his hand. I'm sure Zellner finds something that would help Brendan. She would pass it along. First and foremost, if Steve is released, he will be too. Yeah, they've already agreed to share information and stuff, so it could be there's already something Zellner's uncovered that Steven and Laura can use. But trust me, right now, after all that long process they went through and how close they were to being successful, they're taking a little time before they come back at it again. They're just, which I can't say I blame them. I'm sure it took a lot out of them, and then to have it end the way it did I'm sure they're just taking a little bit of time before they revisit this. How you like that sound, folks? You got your own little Dr. Pepper commercial right here. We need an Erekose meet and greet now. Oh, really? There's only one job where you get to the top by sucking. Who do you guys think is the new person whom has come forward with info? That's a good question. I think the Rav would crack the case. She needs to get her hands on that thing. She wants to test that prop, everything. The release inside the cab, the prop, the hood. She wants to test all that and shoot more holes. Crazy no other witnesses saw anything. It was Halloween. Weren't there trick-or-treaters on the property? I don't know. I don't know how well trick-or-treating would go in that area. I mean, I was there. It's like there's so much distance between residences. I would think you would have to drive to nearby Green Bay, maybe to the suburbs in Green Bay or possibly in Milwaukee. I don't know how well it would work out in the rural areas like where the Averys are and stuff like that. I think that Knight Rider is waiting on Zellner and that she is waiting on the election. Getting rid of the Shimmy Sham was important for Brendan since Shimmy Sham was enjoying messing with him. Absolutely. You should be sponsored. Maybe Dr. Pepper will sponsor me someday when they notice me. That was the same whoosh that Mets heard. Was it Dr. Pepper, huh? Oh man, that's funny. So every time an appeal fails, does it mean they can't reappeal? But on different evidence, does it mean none of the info that was on the failed appeal can be used? Then would any new appeals need to be new? Okay, let me try and read that again. Things from former appeals can be used because they become part of the record. And so, yes, if things from former appeals could possibly be helpful to the case of a new appeal, they will matter because by having appealed them before, they are now part of the record. Obviously, they weren't enough to get the conviction vacated or anything like that on their own, but they are part of the record, and if you come up with more evidence that will work in conjunction with that evidence, it is possible to make that evidence relevant again. I hope that answers your question, Andy. He is psychotic and bringing Barb along for the ride. What do you think the final outcome will be for SA and BD? Ultimately, I think they're going to be out. Marissa could be right. Sorry, I didn't know the American justice system. I'm trying to understand it. Absolutely, I understand. She doesn't have what it takes to defend her family. You leave at Halloween and home for Christmas. If you are proven innocent, I hope they bankrupt the whole town in lawsuit. Yeah. Oscar Rose. So who took the number plates of the RAV and why were they bent and buckled? Good question. And why? I don't know what was in the person's head who did that. How can someone be convicted of a recanted confession alone? Absolutely. Especially when you ignore their actual under oath testimony where they get grilled by the prosecutor, and you ignore that, and you ignore the fact that they held up under those circumstances and stick to the ridiculous train wreck story of a confession that they got from him. Yeah, so it makes absolutely no sense. They cannot appeal based on what they have already lost on. So Brendan cannot reappeal based on his confession alone. They have to find something else, and then they can. I'm sorry if I didn't explain well enough. They have to find something else new right now, some other aspect of the case against Brendan, and some evidence to dispute something about the case, and then they can get back into court. And while they're in court, if other things that they've filed in the past will work together with the new appeal that they're bringing, then they are part of the record and they can be used in conjunction with the new appeal. But right, you can't just take old appeal stuff and repackage it and appeal again. You have to have something new, but like I was trying to explain is that at least having those old appeals, you have all that stuff on record. And therefore, when it's on record, the judges can review it when you bring a new appeal. That old stuff is still reviewable because it's on the record, which is important with the Court of Appeals because they don't actually hear evidence at a Court of Appeals. Everything that they review is what's part of the record. If it's not part of the record, they aren't reviewing it. And that's the way it goes at the Court of Appeals. So that's an important aspect. I hope I'm explaining this somewhat well enough. Law is obviously not the field I got into, but I have been getting a crash course in it for the last 3 years. And so, let's see here. Here in Belgium, Stephen and Brendan will be free with our low. Okay, if KZ gets Stephen out, wouldn't Brendan get out too? Well, certainly whatever KZ uses to get Stephen out would most likely work for Brendan as well. Pam Sturm is psychic if she found that on her own. Yeah. Did I hear that Pam Sturm is Karen Hallbach's cousin? Yes, she is related to the Hallbachs. The removal of the number plates bother me, and if the planted RAV4 and wanted it found, why take the number plates off? Nice, Marissa. Yes. If the plates were not on the car, how did Colburn call them in? Well, that's just it. He called it in when he found it on the road where it still had them. Right? It wasn't until it was brought to the yard that those plates were most likely removed and then thrown into a trunk of one of the, cars on the yard. Is it true that the plates were found in the opposite corner of Avery Salvage from the RAV4? Yeah, they were pretty close to almost caddy corner. Thanks, Erekose. You're explaining it well. I just don't know the system, and yeah, no problem. I mean, I'm here to try to help everybody understand it. I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I have been learning about this and have been getting a better understanding of this. But sometimes, just understand that if I'm having trouble explaining it, it's because it's the law. And somebody said something brilliant. If you can't explain something in simple terms, you don't really understand it. So that's where I'm at with the law currently. I can't explain all of it in simple terms. Some aspects of it I've gotten pretty good explaining it in simple terms. Other aspects of the law, I'm still at that stage of not being able to really express it in simple terms. So I guess that's the difference I'm trying to make. Has anything been said about the knife used to stab her? Where is it? It's never been found. Colburn read the plates behind Taddock property, right? Don't get strange tonight, Erekose. I would love a Hallback family tree. Yeah, I know. Somebody has that out there. You know what? I know who to ask about that. I'll try to see about the Hallback family tree. Well, I removed the plates though. It is weird. The whole plates thing, I don't know what was going on. There's so much misdirection and weird things going on. So check out Laura's channel. Marcotti, I said that. You made a great job, Erekose. You should give in and go to law school at this point. Let's see if it's a frame job don't fit. You must have quit. Okay, yeah. The OJ trial now, huh? Johnny Cochran. The plates were removed so the car couldn't truly be identified while moving it onto the Avery property. That's a fair point, I guess. A very good. While it was going down the highway, it just looked like a car without plates. Like maybe it was coming from a car dealership or something. Or yeah, maybe. Is there any evidence of cut marks on her neck bones? If that even makes sense. I'm not sure if there is or not. I don't remember. I remember it saying, I think, on the shin bones specifically, but I'm not sure about neck bones. I think Erekose will solve this case for Stephen, just keeping it talked about. Well, my numbers have been going up like crazy, folks. I've had... in the last 2 weeks, since the day MAM2 came out, I've had over 1,000 subscribers. I've had nearly 200,000 views on my channel since October 19th. It's just been crazy. A lot of people are tuning in and starting to pay attention to what's happening over here on Erekose on Making a Murder. And that is the biggest reward. The biggest reward. Because, all I ever wanted to do was to try to show the places in the documents that really show some of the fishiness of this case, but without all the people in the wider world having to go and dredge through those documents themselves, but to make it easy so that more people could be informed about what was happening here. And I'm happy that is finally happening now, and it's happening in a big way because my numbers are growing. And so that is the biggest reward, and that is the most awesome thing, because it's all about wanting to help and get this straightened out, because it's a huge freaking mess. New subs, congrats. Thank you. I didn't understand why the follow-up question with AC. What was he doing? Don't get cocky. That's a very excellent point, Lori. Not getting cocky is very important. You deserve it. Done the hard work. Oh, thank you so much, Stacy. Shin bones would be consistent with trying to conceal the corpse in a small space. Right, or in a burn barrel, right? Other than the confession, which now can't be appealed, there is no other evidence for Dassey to appeal, as no other evidence against him. Okay, Andy. You're very convinced. I'm not. I'm happy for you as someone who has seen you when you had very little numbers. Oh, thank you so much, Quadrex. Colburn is stuck in my head. He is wrapped up in everything. He definitely is wrapped up in it. Let's see. You deserve to make a living doing this stuff, my friend. Well, hopefully, maybe within a couple years, I might be. We'll have to see how it all works out. Who took the youngest brother trick-or-treating, as Brendan said? Did you see anything wonder this? I don't remember who took him. I'm actually not sure. I think he might have went with friends, actually. You have done a great job and been supportive in getting the info out there, and we all feel the same way and why we tune in. Oh, thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you for your videos. Been watching you for a long time. Thank you so much, Sasha. Patrick Walsh. A bunch of us are subscribed. Laura has her own way of putting things out there, and it's more of an opinion channel, but I think we all love her for the most part. Did you refer to yourself in the third person, then refer to the channel in the fourth? I may have done. I do that sometimes to be funny. Your channel is so down to earth and calm. You're not pushing your ideas, just facts, which well. Thank you. You're so welcome, Lori. Smash the like button. Oh yes, hit the like button. Woohoo! Let's see. We all support you. Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. See, I'm Sharon's wee star. That's what she calls me when she messages me on Messenger. She calls me her wee star. It's funny, but like Lori said, I can't get cocky. I appreciate all the love that comes my way, but it's I always got to remember that it's about what's important and everything. But yeah, you guys are great, and I appreciate all of you. You guys make it worthwhile. Colburn should be the one that breaks first. I'm convinced that Brendan is an innocent man. I just wish he was out. I can't see how it is so frustrating that most can see he is innocent. Absolutely, most can. And like I said, I've said so many times about my issues with like Fassbender and stuff. Like, I don't assess IQs. Oh, shut the hell up, you idiot! You spent the entire weekend with the kid. Trying to tell me you don't assess IQs or whatever is ridiculous. Oh, thank you so much, Stacey. Thank you. That's very kind, sir. You'll never catch Marcotti doing that. Oh, that's so funny. I am lazy and can do other things. Thank you so much, Stacy. That's very kind, brother. I want to inject Colburn with truth serum and watch his lips flap. Yeah, there you go. Make sure you record it. Yes, I love that you read the documents. I struggle with migraines, and you have seriously been a godsend with keeping my brain up to date. Awesome. I'm so glad, Marissa. I try to cherry pick what I think are the important bits out of the motions and the things that get filed, the things that I think have the most impact. And other things that I don't actually show in the video, I'll usually allude to in my in-between segments where I talk about, where it's me on camera talking in between. I'll allude to some other things that are outside of what I'm showing you on screen. But I generally try to stick to showing people what seems like the most important and everything, and read it out loud. And I know I've gotten a lot of people that are blind that like to come to my channel because I do that. And they appreciate that very much, and so it's a service I continue to provide, and will try to continue to provide, and to reach as many people as possible, to break as many language barriers as possible. Hopefully, working with Jerome, we can hopefully, help convey some of this message to, as he was saying on his French YouTube channel, so that can be kind of cool. So everything I can do, I will do. I have the trouble of working it into my busy schedule, but everything I can do, I will do. And that includes Fresh Start Monday, if he ever gets back to me. So, if you want me in Fresh Start, go over on his channel and start making comments and get his attention and say, hey, are you ever going to do with Erekose? Because he just said he's waiting for you to get in touch with him, and then he'll be ready to go. I think he's having to buy some special equipment. I think we could be waiting for him to have to buy some kind of Skype setup that he wants to be able to have, because he wants to be able to record it and and do certain things with it, because he's really focusing on that production. It looks like in his videos lately, which is cool. Good for him. But so like I said, I'm willing to do everything that necessary and possible, to create the awareness, to encourage others to create the awareness. Whatever it comes, as long as whatever adjective includes creating awareness, I'm there. There have been plenty of times where I've turned the video on where you were reading, and I can close my eyes and just listen and not end up with a splitting headache. Yeah, you're so welcome, Marissa. You're very welcome. I just slid the toggle and pressed send. Stacy, that could have been really bad for you. Yeah, it could have been. Thank God it was just a kind of a normal amount. I'm glad you're not in the poorhouse now. What's Fresh Start Monday? He's another YouTuber, if you haven't heard of him. I love to do craft projects while listening to you in the background. Spin the wheel. Sharon, what do you do? Is that Dave Bagaka an attention seeker? He seems quite whack to me. Why don't I give him a chance to talk? Should I give him a chance? I think you should. I mean, yeah, maybe some of the stuff he says at first seems crazy on the surface, but think about it for a second, and think about some of the weird stuff that you've been seeing come out lately, with all the weird, sex trafficking and just the bizarre things, like, for instance, and this is what I used as an example earlier, like the way David Carradine died. We're living in a world where people have some really kinky fetishes and things that they do. So it actually makes it hard for me to just discount Dave's story just because it sounds crazy, because I actually know that it's actually not that crazy, that those types of things are happening for real. Like, I mean, it's just, they are happening. There's reports of that stuff happening. And so I take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe Dave's attention seeking, because I mean, he puts out YouTube videos like once in a blue moon. When he gets like some idea, he'll put out a YouTube video. He came on a video with me recently because I asked him, but he doesn't put out a lot of videos anymore. He's not really seeking the attention, in my opinion. But everybody has to decide for themselves. Of course, you have to decide for yourself whether or not you think there's anything to what Dave's saying. I kind of think there is. Maybe not every word that Dave says, maybe not everything that Dave says, but I think some of it. Oh wow. Somebody was just very generous. Have you ever thought about being a guest speaker on Fade to Black or Coast to Coast or anything similar? I haven't thought of that. I don't even know what those are. But if they were interested in talking to somebody about MAM, I'd be willing if they reached out. Like I said, most anybody I would be willing to talk to. Well, thank you so much, Sean. You're very kind, buddy. Back to the Future t-shirt in an upcoming video. Oh, so you want me to get a Back to the Future T-shirt like my Rogue One? Oh, that's so funny. He never loses credibility with his anger. Let's see. Wait, what are we missing here? He is tortured by this case. Yeah, Dave is. He's kind of tortured by this case. He eventually saw the light, and he eventually realized that Stephen was getting messed with by that area as well. And I believe tortured is probably a good word for how Dave feels about this case. Let's see here. Dave Bagaka was insane in my opinion, and then I realized that he was too consistent to be lying. And and his bar really was trashed, and he did have someone murdered, and that is facts. Facts are important, and Marissa's absolutely correct. All that stuff with the bar happened. His friend getting killed like that, and it actually being bloody, and then they said it was a heart attack or something, and I mean, just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Let's see. They are radio programs, fade to black. Okay, I figured they probably were, like, radio programs or YouTube or podcasts or something. I figured that's probably what they were. But I've never reached out to them, certainly. Rhonda K. I enjoy Dave's videos. Yeah, I like Dave too. Whenever Dave puts out a video, I just like Dave. He's just a nice guy. I just kind of like Dave. I just like him. He's a likable guy. I met him he was at the rally, and I got to meet and talk with him at the rally a bit in person and stuff. And he's a cool guy. He's a really cool guy. And like I said, there's enough of his story that can be verified as true that I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Listened to Dave a long time ago. I think his wife or partner put me off. It was like she was fed what to say, so I gave up. Might have to look again. Didn't Dave at first think Stephen was guilty? He said at first, like before the Patty Burnson thing, like before Stephen got exonerated, he actually, like everybody else, figured Stephen probably did it. But when Stephen got exonerated, he started seeing things differently. And when the Teresa Halbach thing came up, he wasn't so convinced. He seems ready to explode. Who is Dave? Dave Bagaka. Dave Bagaka is who we're talking about. Tinfoil hat, yeah. Some people have that feeling about it, and that's fine. I understand how people feel that way. Dave have not benefit the lie. Yeah, he hasn't benefited from any of this. He hasn't made any money. He doesn't even monetize his YouTube videos. Which is a shame, because if he monetized them, then YouTube would be more motivated to share them with people. But he doesn't even do that. He's not in this for his own gain. He's doing it because his soul informs him to, basically. Technically Stephen has been exonerated. Thanks for all you do. A real advocate for SA and BD over there. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much. All the best. Good night, friend. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off, folks, and say good night as well, like Sean there. Nancy Grace will someday also see the light, just like Dave, only later, possibly. Yeah, it's a shame. So, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and we'll say goodnight at this point. I know many of you are probably going to hop on over to Laura's live feed when she eventually goes live here in a little while for her little live slumber party. I will be over there commenting on that. I know one of you is supposed to be sending me email to my email for a video for me to look at. So please do that. I will check that out while either before Laura's live feed starts or during it, whatever the case is. So everybody have a great night. Have fun over on Laura's feed. We'll see you guys obviously tomorrow sometime. I'll go live again tomorrow sometime. And have a good night, and let's go have some fun over there. It's time for a cerveza. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. We'll see ya.